So I'll just wear him. I've done it before while reading. So I'm going to start with how it all begins, pretty much. Birthing. There will be blood, the Scottish nurse shouts to get the room full of rounded bellies and scared, quiet men smiling nervously to her attention. She's tasked with teaching you to birth and care for a small stranger you should love. Women have been giving birth forever, she says. That's how we all got here. It's too late to walk out. At your appointments, you're lying on a vinyl table, your feet resting in awkward stirrups. The doctor instructs, open your legs wider, wider, relax your knees. 2 months later, a baby's soggy coned head is crowning out your hole. The hole you were told was nice and tight, and now the doctor is reporting 10 centimeters. It will never be the same. It will never be a small hole again, you think. The trauma of another human traveling through and breaking free will never hush after the whoosh of your water breaking. Yeah. You kept asking, what if my water breaks, but I don't realize it? In hindsight, stupid you. It's indistinguishable gush you've stored up in the fall, winter, and now it's spring, spilling out onto a white towel on an elevated hospital bed, and there is no returning to before. You can't just walk home. There is no returning to before. There is no returning, and your body will never look or feel the same. The doctor holds up this red, scrunched-up baby that will not cry, and the nurse runs her to the warming bed. The doctor proudly shows you your placenta, a veiny, wet-blooded alien. The short umbilical cord that attached you to your small, now crying prize, and your first impulse is to shove it all back inside. But you will never go back to just you again. After you stand for the first time and look back at the bed, the nurse said, "Don't look." But you can't stop staring at the bed of blood-soaked sheets and clots, and there is no way that all that blood could be yours. No one can ever prepare you for this. Thank you. So I'm gonna read one that I'm working on right now. I don't usually do that, but I've been doing that lately. It's trying to try this one out in different ways. The Edinburgh it's called Edinburgh, well, it's a working title, but it's about the Edinburgh postnatal depression scale that they give you after you have a baby that's postpartum depression. They give you these questionnaires, and the questions just seem a little absurd because I feel like every mom's gonna experience it no matter what. Like their questions just seem like, well, yeah, of course I feel that way. So this poem's a little bit about that. I used some of the questions in the poem. 35 at the marble bar, waiting for takeout and trying not to cry into your stemless red sangria. You are just embarrassing. Not cute like you were with flat abs and a fake ID at 19. Your marriage is a crumbling cliche, and you are just trying to avoid going home to slam doors, being invisible, the name calling, and 14 large blue IKEA bags of laundry that have taken over your hot basement. Your fat mom pouch curled over the pink maternity underwear you are still wearing. You are thinking of the PPD questionnaire that takes you longer than it should to complete, particularly the question statements, I have blamed myself unnecessarily when things go wrong. I have been anxious or worried for no good reason. But you have so many reasons to believe something bad will happen. Driving home through a sun shower on the Boulevard of the Allies, your mind is caught in a tall old maple, like the rainbow kite stuck in the branches. Thanks. You guys are a good crowd. This one's, oh, thanks. Bursting out. So the first poem that I read was written after I had my daughter, and then the second one here is my son, not this one. I have two other kids back home in Pittsburgh right now who are hopefully in bed and sleeping, but you never know. Bursting out. You burst out. opening me up to the doctor at the foot of the small bed, ready to play catch with a quiet fish, wrapped up tightly 3 times in our cord. You didn't make a sound. You didn't scream or cry. It was a fast back labor birth. The doctor orders me a double fentanyl shot, spraying and squirting blood, the trajectory your father's yellow t-shirt, and love in your plunge into a cold triage room. You weren't supposed to come out this fast. Forehead, nose, and nape of neck, bruised from your wild and rapid passage through the birthing canal. Then you were latched like a breastfed poster boy, the nurse said, like you have always been here, doing this, and loving you has left me bloody, vulnerable, and high.
He's on cue, you know.
Yeah, he's really good. We worked out a schedule, like when to interrupt beforehand in the hotel. It was fun. Okay. I know exactly why some animals eat their young. I wake up to hot projectile vomit all over my chest and a toddler ripping out fistful of my long, dry hair. Nights like this are combat training in sleep deprivation. You try jumping out of my arms as I carry you up the steep cement steps and into the red brick house that needs to be repointed. You try to eat the broken blue glass from the shattered votive candle. You eat dirt and small magnets while I am reading. You are playing on wooden steps, and then your small head is suddenly, violently bumping down loudly, neck bent. How is that survival? You are so vulnerable in that hospital bed you barely occupy. I blame myself for every bruise and make deals with God that I will be a good Jew, but that is just a lie. Thank you. And this one's for my Aunt Margie, since she asked me to read this one. She likes this one. Yeah, it has a lot to do with being Jewish and growing up and being a woman in a religious home. The Hasidic paradise. At the satin white Shabbos table, the bearded rabbis talk about paradise, about when the Messiah comes. They say, we will have 10 babies at a time. I swat the large fly that lands on the rim of the cucumber salad bowl. We will bring sacrifices daily. There will only be Jews. I sigh loudly, like my dog, just before he falls asleep on my pillow above my head. Everyone looks at me at the end of the table in an uncomfortable metal folding chair. I look down and trace the black ink tattoo on my ankle. We will all be together in Jerusalem, and all the nations will recognize us as the chosen people. I think about it. I think about this paradise, if it exists, and how I will miss all my friends, how lonely I would be, and that I hate everyone in the paradise. When the Messiah comes, all the Jews of the world will be rejoined to serve God, and we won't need to work. God will provide. I get up loudly from the table and clear the dishes, scraping excess food to the top plate. This does not sound like my paradise. I throw the dishes into the clogged up sink. I have heard of this paradise before. It is not really for women like me. Thank you. And this is the title poem of my book, Mean Mama. It's a picture of my daughter and my son. My daughter's upset 'cause the gift shop closed. You know, it's devastating. So, yeah. Mean Mama. I wish I could say I was the kind of mama who didn't have to say sorry, who didn't have to wipe your sweet, sticky hands and dirt-creased neck, who didn't let you have mint chocolate chip ice cream for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, who wasn't yelling, "Don't fucking run around the goddamn parking lot," who didn't lose you in every store calling your name loudly, over and over again, who made a big deal when you fell backwards on the big girl swing, who didn't let you watch Toy Story 2 3 times in a row, who bathed you every night, who remembered to put aquifer on your rashes under your neck, who didn't leave you in the hot car while running into the pharmacy for 5 minutes in July, who didn't hold your tiny body down to cut your sharp fingernails, who made you brush your molars, who had more energy to chase you in the park, who didn't drink a bottle of wine a night while you slept quietly in your overheated bed, who greeted you with love and enthusiasm in the morning instead of grumpiness, whose solution to most things isn't more television or a snack, who wasn't this mean, mean mama. But I come from a long, long line of mean mamas, and I'm sorry. Thanks. Here's another poem. This one I wrote after my mom had an accident. Image stuck in my mind for a long time. And it's after the poem by, I don't know if you know, Alenia Clickdack Davis. It's really good. Really admire her. It's called Cracked Aperture. I call these flowers lazy-eyed Susans, I said to her as she slipped knee-high in her black and gold wet stare. The fence snapped, she fell and fell and fell. I call them lazy-eyed Susans. Again and again she fell when my eyes closed. Black-eyed Susans, wet like the tall grass, uneven ground and warped wood fence, snapped and she fell fast, loud crack against black asphalt. Next to a green dumpster, her legs still, then moving directionless in the air, her skirt hiked up, blue underwear showing and blood-soaked wig. The black-eyed Susans were laughing, and she fell and fell every time I closed my lazy-eyed Susans. Wet fence snapped, and then a loud crack, skull fracture. In the passenger seat, when the rain pelts down on your windshield, it seems impossible not to stare. Thank you. So I have a few more here and then 2 more here, and we'll call it quits. This one I wrote in Scranton, Pennsylvania. So, my family returns to Scranton for Passover. We all fell apart, regressed, got fat, threw heavy orange hotel chairs, ate our own cans of chocolate chip macaroons, fought over foil trays of dry, overcooked salmon, and chased our toddlers around the long, dank hotel halls and splashed in the small, overheated, chlorinated pool. My brother retreated to the Talmudic books, while my older brother cried into his hotel pillow. No one cares about me. It's not fair how mom and dad treat me. I'm all alone. And I kept a bottle of Malbec by my white bed, only to spill it repeatedly in my cool, crisp sheets. Eventually, it looked like a murder scene, like someone died in my bed, spilling out strong red blood. They worked so hard to change, to contain, in the thick skin I had to grow. So, since it's July, I decided to read this 4th of July poem. I think I read, yeah. Okay. 4th of July. My aunt died of liver failure in a hospital bed I never visited, so I can't describe. I can't say that her pale eyes became light gray at the end. I didn't go to the New Jersey funeral. Last time I saw her, she thought no one was looking as she ate without utensils. Her head lowered to the plate, hands useless and locked stiff fists. Instead of going to the funeral, I walked down the strip with my little white dog, looking for fireworks between brick buildings on Liberty Avenue. All I could see through the tall skyscrapers were flashes of lights and the starfish shape of a cloud, like a skeletal remain of what was once, only seconds ago, glistening and gold. So I think I'll read these last three, but I'm debating whether to end with something funny instead of depressing, which, you never know what's better. Depressing or, I'm just kidding. I'll end with the funny ones, so we'll start with, I have three more. As we turn off Hazelwood Avenue, this is called Death. So I'll start with the morbid ones first. Hopefully, can you hear me over him? Okay, if not, we'll just leave him in the car. I'm just kidding. Just joking. Yes. That's where the other ones are. No, I'm just kidding. Just joking. It's just my joke. People get really scared of that joke. Death. As we turn off Hazelwood Avenue onto Bigelow Street, she stares at the hilly cemetery in her tiny, high-pitched voice. She tells me that's where all the dead people are. They are all stuck in the ground, dead and trapped, trying to get out. I explain the uncertain to her, but have no factual answers, no proof. I don't want her to have nightmares. I tell her they aren't trapped. It's just where their bodies are buried. Their brains or souls or whatever are in the clouds watching, making sure we are all okay. She's thinking, absorbing, and staring out the window, up into the clouds in disbelief. I tell her we will all die, and that is okay. We are all born, live, and die. She asks if I will die, and I say, I don't want, She asks if I will die and says, I don't want you to die, and I don't want you, you're confusing me here, man. I don't want to die, and I don't want you to die, Mama. I tell her I don't plan to die for a long time, and we go get ice cream. She orders strawberry, and I get Nutella, but she eats mine instead, and I eat her melted strawberry. So these are the last two. And thanks again for having me, and hope my baby's not too loud. Thanks. So these are the last two, and this is from my book, Dickwad, which, I don't know. I guess I could tell you where the title came from. I'll read you the title poem then, actually. So I'll read you three more, but this one's really short. So I found the poem title, Dickwad. I found it in a bathroom at this very dive bar in Pittsburgh and Polish Hill. It's called Gooski's, and there's graffiti all the time, everywhere. And they have to paint it like every year because it gets so full of graffiti. And I guess it's like a thing so that people can come and write more graffiti. So I saw this on the wall and I loved it, and it became the title. So it's Gooski's Bar, Graffiti, Polish Hill, and this is what it said. Attention ladies, beware purse-snatching scumbag by the name of David Kamansky. In Davy, dearest, Gooski's has cameras, you dumb fuck. Don't drop the soap, dickwad. It's just really strange graffiti that I loved. I used to really spend a lot of time in there writing down all the graffiti. So this is, okay, this one's another one from the Dickwad, of course. Molly named Dix. Whenever Molly and I went out, so did her past lovers. We'd go out for a smoke, and there they'd be, 3 or 5 past fucks. I'd warn, don't turn around, Molly. She always turned to pink scarf dick, black dick, limp dick, dead fish dick, action hero children's underwear dick, emotional mess dick. I know their actual names, but it seems more comical and mysterious to call them by whatever complaint Molly had with the sex or personality. Eventually, we forgot their actual names, and we became obsessed with calling them by whatever their dicks did or did not do. They were all past dicks to her. And I'll leave you with one final short poem, and thanks again. And I brought books to sell, Dickwad, and I brought my anthology, Nasty Women Bad Ombre, which kind of deals with the reaction to the election and aftermath that collected some great poems and a beautiful cover from Vanessa German, who was a local artist in Pittsburgh. And then I brought my Mean Mama books. Okay. Anyway, so this is the final poem. This is a true poem. I met Mr. T when I was younger, and no one told me we were going to go see him. And I was like 6 years old, so it was a big surprise. Mr. T Convention Center, St. Paul, Minnesota, early 90s. My mother didn't prepare me for Mr. T. For the cobalt blue spandex, tight bulge, big package yelled, "Get in the picture, little fool." I held my fist tight against my turtle in a blue pond t-shirt and looked into the Polaroid camera, then turned eye level to Mr. T's blue bulge. He said, "I like your turtle tee, little girl." Thanks. Thank you. Thank you.